Hey guys, so towards the beginning of the year I wanted to get back into doing YouTube, and so I bought myself some like fancy lights and a mic and decided I was going to have like a profesh looking setup and make my videos look like super crisp and clean, and I've just come to realise that it's not worth it. I just want to make a video, and as long as I'm talking to a camera, does it matter? The answer is no. So I'm doing a video today. Basically, it's something I've been thinking about for a little while because it is an imminent event of mine, and that is me leaving the bubble that is university. So I have 4 months left to the day. In fact, today is the 18th of May, and that means it is exactly 4 months until I have to hand in my dissertation, so long as I don't have any extensions or anything, but I sort of hope I don't have to do that. I have 4 months to the day until I hand in my dissertation, my master's dissertation, and then I am basically free or unemployed, depending on how you want to look at it. So at the moment my life is looking like a very, very stressful weekend and week ahead of me. I have, at this point, 4 deadlines next week. 4 deadlines in 1 week. That should actually be illegal, especially at this point. So I'm a bit sort of fragile and temperamental, so if I scream at you or you find me in a ball on the floor somewhere crying next week, that is why. Please be sympathetic and bring me food. Then I have a few really, really busy weekends, but they're all really nice things that I get to do. And then it's on to my dissertation, which is crazy, so I'll be starting that in a few weeks' time. By nature, I am a very anxious person. I get anxious about pretty much anything that could potentially be anxiety provoking. Pretty much everything fills me with fear in some way, and particularly change. Change is a massive thing for me that basically it terrifies me, and I'm fully aware that a big change is about to occur in my life, so I'm kind of stressed about that. I've been thinking about doing this video for a while, and originally I was just going to make it a post-uni worries video, but I thought that would be kind of depressing just to talk about everything that I'm scared about. So I've made this a worries video, and also what I'm sort of planning to do once I finish uni, because I do have a few not necessarily fully cemented plans, but they're good plans that I can be flexible with and that I'm actually kind of looking forward to getting round to. So without further ado, let's talk about some stuff I'm scared of. The first thing, and this will probably be something that hits me first maybe, and that'll be a massive change in structure. So at the moment, you know, I've had lectures up until quite recently, not that I've necessarily been to many of them, but I've had a timetable that I've tried to stick to. That's sort of been rigid and the same every week. And I work really well with routine and consistency. Basically I need structure in my life or I just sort of fall apart. So that's going to be strange, sort of managing my own time. And I hope over the summer that doing my dissertation I'll sort of fall into a routine. I've sort of decided that I want to work 10 till 6 in uni every day and then try and have weekends off, otherwise I'm just going to burn myself out. But if I can do that every day for, you know, 12, 13 weeks, I'm hoping that'll be enough to get my dissertation done. We will see. There may be a few all-nighters towards the end, but I'm hoping to avoid that as much as possible. My plan is to move home after uni, and it's still a bit up in the air as to whether that's definite or whether I'll be living with Tom somewhere else or what's going on, but my plan is to move home. There's a number of reasons why, but at first moving home will mean I have to structure my own life. At some point I will probably have to get a job. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing. I may start working part-time, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the sort of job that I'm considering straight after my degree a little bit later on. I'm fully looking into working full-time, potentially even volunteering full-time, but if I did work part-time, I would have time to take evening classes and things like that. So I would love to continue learning French, even take up Arabic or Mandarin. I did Mandarin for a couple of years at school, but I can remember none of it. And also I really want to learn Python, which is a coding language. It's really useful in the industry that I want to go into eventually. So I think that would be a really efficient use of my time, and I think that would work out quite well. I'll talk a little bit more about my actual plans for stuff like that later on. But yeah, so that will require me to structure my own time and motivate myself and get out of bed in the morning. And I've actually become pretty good at that. Being at home over Easter somehow made me fall into a really good sleeping routine. I was waking up naturally about 8 in the morning, which if you looked at me 2 years ago, that's incredibly unusual. And you know, I kind of want to be asleep by midnight. So I'm hoping that this year has put me in a really good place for when I actually have to come and be my own boss for a little while. But certainly the change in structure will be one of the first things that hits me. The next thing that I'm worried about, and I haven't really talked about this for 15 minutes on my channel, and that is that I might not have Jazzmanix in my life anymore. For those of you who don't know, Jazzmanix is the choir that I'm in at the moment, and I'm coming to the end of my 3rd year in the choir, and I have absolutely loved every single minute of it. And it might sound like a really weird thing to be worried about missing, but they've been such a massive part of my life over the last 3 years. I attribute so many of my successes and sort of progress in the last few years to them, and I sort of can't imagine life without them. Once you're part of Jazzmanix, you are in the family for life, and so I know I'd always be welcome back at Jazzmanix, but it's just the logistics of getting there. If I move home, which is my plan, I will only be like a maximum of 2 hours away, and so particularly if I'm only working part-time, I would really be keen on commuting down and coming to rehearsals, particularly main choir rehearsals, which we have on a Thursday. But then I'd also feel weird about not being in small group, as that's something I've done every year, which would mean being down more. And I've also sort of volunteered myself for a position on committee, or sharing a position on committee, which would mean I still have fairly strong ties with concerts and other things going on. Basically, I'm in a lot of denial right now. I'm hoping it'll all sort of fall into place, but for me, Jazzmanix is still a priority in my life, even when I leave, and if I can find the means and the time to commute down and sing with them, I will. But I was also thinking about my musical future once I do eventually move on from Jazzmanix, whether that's this year or next year or 10 years time, who knows. And I sort of got excited about the potential for new things. So Jazzmanix sort of fell into my life. I wasn't expecting it to happen or expecting it to be as amazing as it was. And who's to say something like that won't happen again? You know, one day I would love to sing for a prog metal band. That's kind of like my dream. Originally my dream was to be lead guitarist in a melodic death metal band, but I don't think I'm going to get there because I'm not good enough and I don't work hard enough at it. But singing in a prog metal band is a tangible goal for me, and it's something that I'd absolutely love to do. It's also something that is a very male-dominated part of music. There are very few female progressive metal musicians, particularly singers, and I would love to be part of a band that sort of wants to do something a little bit different. I feel like a lot of prog metal vocals are clean, and that's what I do. I don't scream or do particularly harsh vocals at all, but that's something I would love to do, or get back into playing acoustic, which I did quite a lot before uni particularly. Music will always be a part of my life. It's fundamental for me, and I just don't know at this point how it will manifest itself in my life in the future. Although if you are a prog metal band in the Surrey area looking for a vocalist, do hit me up. The next thing I've been quite worried about, and I've actually been really concerned about this since the end of my second year at university, so that's been 2 years now, and that is having to move doctor surgery when I leave Southampton. My 4 years at university has been when all my mental health issues have A, gotten worse, and B, been dealt with really for the first time. And I've been at the same surgery for that entire time. I signed up with them in my freshers week, and I've been seeing the same doctor there ever since. He has dealt with all my mental health issues, and he's been absolutely great. A couple of years ago I moved from halls to a different area of Southampton, and I thought I was going to have to move doctor surgery. I was an absolute mess, and I remember sort of breaking down in my doctor's office, stressed about the concept of having to leave. Fortunately I didn't have to, but this time I'm almost certainly going to have to move. I have been so incredibly lucky over the last 4 years, as I've heard, you know, some absolute horror stories about other people's experiences with GP surgeries, particularly with the way they deal with mental health issues. Being in Southampton, the doctors here are all well equipped to deal with sort of problems that students face, and you know, mental health issues are super common, whereas back home where the surgery will be that I have to join, they only really have to deal with sort of old people and young children. So I worry that doctors may be less specialised to deal with people like me, basically. Once I get comfortable somewhere, I get really worried about having to uproot myself and start something new, and I'm dreading, you know, having to move to a doctor who wants to change my meds or wants to handle my conditions differently, or who I just don't get on with, and that really, really worries me. While I was actually writing sort of what I was going to say in this video, I got so like stressed out about it that I actually started properly researching the doctor surgeries near me at home, and I found a couple that I think might be okay. There's a couple of doctors at each one that say that they specialise in mental health issues, but even so, it's not going to be familiar, it's going to be strange. My normal doctor isn't going to be there, and it's definitely going to be weird at first, even if it turns out okay. So those are a few things that have been worrying me about my life after university. However, I also have some plans that I'm actually kind of excited about. The first thing, and I don't think many of you are going to be surprised when I tell you this, but I really want to, at least for a little while, go and work with dogs. Ideally, I would like to work at either a rescue centre or a boarding kennels. One of my best friends at the moment is actually doing this, and I was so excited for her when she told me that this is what she was going to go and do. She's been doing it for coming up to about 6 months, I think it's about that long, and she absolutely loves it. She loves dogs as well, possibly to a less obsessive degree than me, but she has an amazing time with it, and there are obviously really difficult points where dogs die or will have to be put down for whatever reason, but for the most part she absolutely loves it, and she just gets to spend her day working with these cute little pups. Like I said before, I don't know whether I'm going to work or volunteer. Ideally I'd like to work because I do need to earn some money at some point, but I'm really lucky that I'm in the position where I could volunteer. Also, I'll need to decide whether I'm going to be part or full-time. I could make either situation work for me, although part-time kind of sounds good as I'd be able to do other things in my spare time. Like I said, I want to do languages and coding and things like that, and it also depends on what sort of positions I can find. I realise that this means that in October I will have put off getting a real job for 24 years, but I really want to do something that's good for the soul and that I'll obviously enjoy while I still have the freedom to do so. They say that your 20s are your selfish years, so while I'm still in my 20s, I would like to, you know, do something that's fun, have some amazing experiences, learn as much as I can, whether it be through experiences or actual skills, and then eventually find a career that's long-lasting and fulfilling. The next plan I have is a pretty standard post-grad thing to do, but I really want to travel. A lot of my travel plans would be based on my situation at home, which is a little bit complicated at the moment, but I've always been one of those people whose to-go list is just absolutely endless. My course mates and I have talked about doing sort of mini trips throughout the summer while we're stressed about our dissertations, and I think maybe one after we've handed in, potentially in Europe. I think Norway's been mentioned, and I think Croatia was mentioned as well. My bigger and more long-term plans include New Zealand, which is sort of the #1 place I want to go right now, and I would absolutely love to go there for sort of around 2 months and just travel the entire country and do everything there is to do. I think the country is absolutely fascinating. I've only spent 48 hours of my life there so far, and it rained the entire time. It was great, but it was far less exciting than I was expecting it to be, and I'd absolutely love to just go and see it all. I also have family on both islands, which is insanely convenient, and I hope that I'd get to see them while I was out there. Also up there with my most important places to go are the east coast of Australia, Fiji, Thailand, Cambodia, places like that, and I'd also love to go back to Singapore and Japan, where I've been before, but they are two of my favourite countries in the entire world. I'd also absolutely love to go to Canada and see the national parks, and there's a few places in the USA I'd like to go to as well, but Australasia and Asia are definitely my most important places right now. The next thing, and recently I've become way more excited about this, is finding a real job. This implies that working with dogs isn't a real job, but I just mean finding a job that's a little bit more relevant to the master's degree I'm doing now. I'm still not exactly sure what I want to go into, and I'm hoping doing my dissertation will maybe help me out with that, and I might even look into doing some internships after I graduate, just before I commit to a particular industry or sector. Getting a job is definitely something that worries me like a huge amount, especially in terms of having responsibility. I made a video about a month ago about my fear of responsibility, and that totally still stands, but I'm pretty sure now that GIS and, you know, what I'm studying now will lead me to the industries and the sectors that I should be working in and that I would most enjoy working in. And I also feel like my degree has given me And I also feel like my degree has really helped me sort of figure out where to start looking when the time comes. We had a careers day a couple of weeks ago where some sort of recent graduates, so sort of younger people within different companies, came to talk to us about what they do, what they did at university, and the application process and stuff like that. And it made me so like inspired and excited, and I just felt really into my degree when we came out of that, which is something that I didn't feel during my undergrad, whereas now I know I'm doing the right thing, which is an amazing feeling when I just kind of felt lost for about 3 years. I also went to a conference earlier this week which is directly relevant to the degree that I do now and the industries that I may go into in the future, and it was such an eye-opening experience, and I felt so inspired, and I felt like the people there were my people. You know, I didn't really have an issue with talking to anybody there. I felt like that was where I'm meant to be, which is an awesome feeling. So I know that there are so many exciting things that I could end up doing when I finally get a job. My overall plan now is just to be young and free and embrace fun employment as much as possible, but I'm also really excited for what happens after that. I've always been really bad at looking into the future with a sort of positive outlook on it, but I think right now literally the world is my oyster, and I've never been so excited for the future. There are a number of things that I know are going to be really crap in the not too distant future, but right now I just feel like I'm about to start the rest of my life in the sort of most exciting way possible. So that's everything I have for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I've enjoyed making it, and it's certainly given me a little bit more anticipation for the future, and certainly some motivation to get through the next very stressful week and a few months of dissertation hell. If you're in a similar situation to me, like you're going through dissertation or you're about to come to the end of your uni career and you're as scared as I am, please send me a message and let me know, and we can get each other through it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video very, very soon. See you later.